Call this meeting to order. I see we have quorum. Moved by Councillor Kersey that the agenda for the August 10, 2015 special meeting of Committee of the Whole, public meeting under the Planning Act, be adopted as circulated. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof? Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. I need to disclose a pecuniary interest because I own property in the circulation area of this application, and I need to declare a conflict. So I'll be, as soon as we get going, I'll be leaving the meeting and
Thank you.
not returning.
Any others?
Thank you.
Seeing none, can you note that, please, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Chair.
This is a public meeting under the Planning Act. The Planning Act requires under Section 3412 that council must hold at least one public meeting for the purpose of informing the public of the proposed amendment to the zoning bylaw. This public meeting has been called to satisfy these requirements. Notice of this meeting was provided by prepaid first-class mail to all persons who are listed as owners in the last revised assessment roll within 120 meters of the subject property on July 16, 2015. The notice provided information on the property and the proposed amendment to the zoning bylaw 1136, 1987 as amended. In addition to the planning staff providing information on this application, we will also receive any comments which any member of the public may wish to offer. There is an attendance list on the table there, which we ask all present to print their names and complete mailing address if they wish to be notified of the passage of the amendment by council, should this occur. If a person or public body decides to file an appeal of a decision made by council in respect to the proposed amendment to the zoning bylaw and does not make oral submission at the public meeting, or make written submission to the town of Pelham before the proposed amendment is adopted or refused, the Ontario Municipal Board may dismiss all or any part of the appeal. In closing, we stress that at this point, no decision has been made on the proposed zoning bylaw amendment, and therefore any and all comments received will be taken into account by council in their consideration. I would ask now for our staff, Julie, to give an information report regarding the zoning bylaw amendment proposal.
Good evening, members of committee and members of the public who are in attendance this evening. I am going to be presenting the public meeting for 792 Welland Road, zoning amendment application AM 0315. The town has initiated the zoning bylaw amendment to rezone the subject land from public zone to neighborhood commercial zone. The former fire hall, Fire Station 2, occupies the site. The subject parcel is located south of Welland Road, east of Church Street, and is municipally known as 792 Welland Road. It is surrounded by commercial buildings zoned general commercial to its north, residential lots of varying sizes zoned Residential Village 1 to its east and south, and a residential lot zoned Residential Multiple Village 1 to its west. In regards to the provincial policies, it is considered a settlement area, subject parcel within the provincial policy statement. In accordance with the Greenbelt Plan, as it is a settlement area, the Greenbelt Plan does not apply. The subject parcel is outside of the Niagara Escarpment Plan area, therefore the Niagara Escarpment Plan does not apply. And in accordance with the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, the subject parcel is considered within a built-up area. The provincial policies direct development to settlement areas to utilize existing municipal sewage and water services, to facilitate compact form and have an appropriate range and mixture of housing types and densities, and promote the formation of complete communities. The subject parcel is designated as built-up area according to the regional official plan. The regional policies promote and facilitate redevelopment of downtowns and the redevelopment of commercial areas into mixed-use areas that include various employment and residential uses. The town's official plan designates the subject parcel as a urban living area built boundary. The permitted uses include single detached residential dwelling units, semi-detached townhouse, multiple and apartment dwellings, and complementary uses such as convenience commercial uses. The town zoning bylaw zones the parcel currently as public P zone. The permitted uses include auditorium, fire hall, hospital, police station, and library. The proposed zoning would be neighborhood commercial, or the NC zone. The permitted uses include banks, beauty salons and barbers, business and professional offices, agencies, studios, private and public parking, convenience retail stores, restaurants, and dwelling units above the ground floor. On July 16th, notice was circulated to external agencies and internal departments directly affected by the proposed application and to all assessed property owners within 120 meters of the subject parcel's boundaries. In addition, a public notice sign was placed on the property facing Welland Road. In regards to the agencies, Niagara Region, the Department of Public Works, the Department of Fire and Bylaw Services, and the Building Division all expressed no issues or objections to the application, and one public comment was received prior to the agenda being finalized from Ann Lancaster, and her concerns included the size and placement of building and landscaping. In conclusion, this presentation has provided information on zoning bylaw application AM 0315 to rezone the subject parcel from public to neighborhood commercial and C zone. No recommendations or decisions concerning this application have been made at this meeting. I'd like to thank everyone for attending this evening's meeting, and following tonight's meeting, questions or comments on this file can be directed to myself. I do have business cards available for members of the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. Any questions from members of committee? Councilor Pat?
Just through you to Ms. Hannah. Considering if the zoning bylaw is changed to that particular use, could they still develop residential on that property or not?
It would be residential above grade.
Above site, okay. Thank you, that clarifies it, thank you.
Councilor Kersey?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Do we have an issue with the official plan, being that it is urban living area / built boundary, and it seems like any commercial uses of the ground floor would be for convenience of, I assume, the residences. Now, does that place restrictions on the type of commercial that could be placed in that ground floor commercial?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the town's official plan has specific uses that are allowed within the neighborhood commercial use within the urban living area built boundary, and those include retail with a floor area of less than 100 square meters, and that it is designed to maintain the neighborhood feel of those commercial establishments. Personal service uses, which are hair salons and barbershops, offices, daycares, private and commercial schools and studios, small-scale restaurants, and medical and dental clinics.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilor Rivera?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I note in the issue summary report reference to archaeological assessments, et cetera. I wonder if you could, number one, comment on what is there of archaeological interest in that area, but second, to what extent is that an issue if the footprint of the building is going to be maintained, assuming that it will be, and not changed or extended into any other part of the property?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the subject parcel has been identified as an area with archaeological potential in the Heritage Master Plan of the town. It is also within 2 screening criteria of the archaeological screening established by the ministry, and that is 300 meters from a water body and also within distance of known archaeological sites, which there are in Fenwick. In terms of the application itself, in spite of there not being the proposal to redevelop the parcel at this time, because it is a Planning Act application, the archaeological assessment has been triggered.
And the significance of this meeting is to work on zoning, and I think that is the key purpose for us here. The other things are auxiliary to that, however, quite of interest, I'm sure, but we're looking for a rezoning of this, and some of the particulars will follow as the development commences.
Fair
Other
enough.
questions?
Fair enough, Mr. Chair. Good enough.
Yeah, other questions? Okay. Go on to the applicant's application or applicant's presentation. Is there a representative of the applicant here?
I was acting on behalf of the applicant as the town made the
Okay,
application.
okay, very good. Public input, anyone from the public would wish to ask a question or make comment about this? If you do, please identify yourself by name and address so that the clerk can get the proper information there, and step forward, please, ma'am.
My name is Anne Lancaster. I'm the one who wrote in. My property is adjacent to it, right next to it. What you said about the footprint, so essentially the footprint means that it's not being razed to the ground and then rebuilt. They're keeping the exact building as it is.
Again, the purpose of this meeting is to change the zoning of the property to commercial, and in fact, if the footprint was to change, that would be taken up at a later time. Am I correct in saying this now? Ms. Hannah?
If an application was to come forward and the town was to finalize the zoning application, the zoning as it currently is being presented to the public is for neighborhood commercial with no site specifics. So the setbacks would have to be maintained as the zoning bylaw is presented currently. If the town was to entertain any site specific amendments to the zoning of the neighborhood commercial, then another notice would have to be circulated to all assessed property owners within 120 meters, and a public meeting held to discuss the revised application and the proposed setbacks.
So essentially what you're saying, because it's a bit complicated when you put it that way, what you're saying is, as it is, they are changing the zoning as it is, as the building is. The next public meeting would be if somebody bought the property and wanted to raise it to the ground and then build on it, what they can build on it.
So right now, just to clarify, if someone was to buy the property and raise the building to the ground, they would be allowed to build without another zoning amendment application or a minor variance application, a building that would meet the setbacks of the neighborhood commercial zone. If the applicant who wanted to build a new building wanted to vary from the neighborhood commercial zone, the zoning amendment application would have to be altered, or a separate one occur at a later date, or a minor variance application submitted to the Committee of Adjustment.
So in fact, what we're doing now is just saying that the property, which currently has a P zoning, is going to be a neighborhood commercial zoning, which would accommodate for commercial use down and residential use above. And in fact, that's the possibilities of what they could put on such a property.
So you're saying 2 stories. You're saying commercial property on the bottom and apartments on the top, because it's 50-50. So I assume if you've got 1 store at the bottom, you got 1 apartment above.
That would be what the current zoning that is being proposed is allowing for. There is no plan for development that has been submitted to planning staff for review. So the application as it stands currently is for a strict neighborhood commercial zone to be placed on the property if council was to approve an amending bylaw.
Why is it being done? What's wrong with leaving? I mean, I'm only asking questions. This is not, I'm not. What is the problem with the zoning as is?
It doesn't allow for a commercial to be built on that. As was put forward in the, it could be an auditorium, a hospital, a fire hall, or that type of thing.
Okay. And then, so, if something is decided to be built there, do I have an opportunity to see the plans? I realize that property is not a pretty site, but I bought the property with that there. I really don't want it to end up where I am sitting, looking out to people sitting on a balcony, looking at me, sitting in my backyard, looking at them. And so I appreciate that it has to be done. I just would like some input when it gets to the point, and I don't know where that comes from.
If in fact, and staff can correct me if I'm wrong on this, if they can build what they want to build within the parameters of setbacks, side yards, and all that of the zoning bylaw, then they would be able to do that. If in fact they wanted to alter from that, or if there's any height changes and that type of thing, staff can help me out on that. Then there may be an application to a committee of adjustment, perhaps for a minor variance, or there may be some other challenges that need to come to council. But, and I'll allow Ms. Hannah to elaborate on what I've just said or build upon, please.
I've already talked.
Yeah.
She was helpful already. I went to her first.
Okay.
So that's my concern, is that it's, we go here and then that's all I hear until I see construction crews moving out there and I don't know what's going there.
So if the application for demolition was to be received by the building department, the building could be demolished. If the applicant wanted to do a new build that didn't require zoning or a committee of adjustment application, there wouldn't be a public process. There would be a site plan application that would be submitted to planning staff. The site plan process doesn't have public consultation in the way that other applications such as zoning or official plan amendments do. However, a member of the public does have the opportunity through a freedom of information request to ask to see any plans that are being submitted to the municipality.
So how do I find out before I see the construction crew building?
Well, I think probably the biggest clue will be if you see the building being demolished, and then you'll know that there's going to be an application forthcoming to planning staff, and a site plan application would have to be received. Currently, council reviews the site plan applications and also provides the recommendation to planning staff that we prepare an agreement that council will then execute, so that part of the process is public in terms of the information being available for review, but in terms of seeing it before it gets to that stage, that would be something that can be done through a freedom of information request and consultation with either the property owner or alternatively planning staff.
Does that help, Ms. Lancaster?
I don't know. I let you know when I see the bulldozers arriving.
Any other input from the public? Now we'll move on to committee input. Any input from committee? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the recommendations. Moved by Councillor King that the Committee of the Whole receives the issue summary report for information as it pertains to application file number AM 0315 regarding 792 Welland Road, and further that committee direct planning staff to prepare the recommendation report on this topic for committee's consideration. Questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That carries. Moved by Councillor Kersey that the correspondence received at the public meeting held on August 10th, 2015 regarding application number AM 0315, 792 Welland Road be received as follows. A letter from Ann Lancaster from Welland Road, Fenwick, containing questions pertaining to the potential development. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That carries. And one more. Moved by Council Ribbiak that this special meeting of Committee of the Whole be adjourned until the next regular meeting of committee scheduled for Tuesday, September 8th, 2015, unless sooner called by the mayor. Call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? It carries. And this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, folks, for coming. And if you haven't already, please sign on the sheet at the back table there, please.
Thank you. See you next Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
See you, Darren.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, Amos over. Amos come in this weekend.
Quick meeting, put me over here.
In conjunction.
Yeah, so site plans are doing
That's P&P, obviously.
it doesn't matter, it's
That's
a
fine.
committee.
Oh, okay.
But it's a mediation, it is. It's just, it should be just committee. It doesn't matter what committee. It's just to, that, yeah, come and view it, and then they wanna take a picture of a copy. So that turns, we want them to take a copy, but kind of like take a photo of their pictures.
I'll write this email.
A lot of little nuances to our department, just to her to catch on to.
That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
just, you know, I don't know.
Particularly since the weather out there apparently is really bad.
The one site plan had been like released.
Falling apart.
Let me finish this email. It'll take me,
Borders on shot in September. Wonderful. If not, then it's probably getting more.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna be bigger than the house.
It's not.
Yeah.
If I go east-west, I'm in trouble. Or something.
You know, within, I understand that. Yeah. It usually is with all problems, yeah. So I'm fine with doing that. Have you tried any of the magnetic parts?
All right, so we'll see you Thursday morning.
Thursday morning.
Okay, great.
Well,
Thanks, Barb.
anyhow, you know, again, the way it's like this is. I go home. But I do have, actually taken some further anti-inflammatories that are gonna, white blue tablets, capsule. That is the best that I've had. You know what? It works.
It's such a pain in the ass. Can't make up his mind. We're gonna have to watch it. I'll probably be careful. Maybe help him set up. Today? No, Sunday.
You're done?
And then Sunday.
Done and done.
Your baby. You do what you gotta do. So our jury wanted to be there a few hours. I'll tell them, look, you're gonna have to, because I gotta leave. I can't stay.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you very much. There's actually something left of it,
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's good.
It's such a pain. I'm
Nancy, thank you.
You're welcome. Take care.
I said, okay, we'll get porta potty.
We're excited.
On Fire Lane,
Really?
Oh, Gary. I always like, because I make a mistake.
I'm still
They asked
recording
me, I
this.
said, oh, Eileen lives there? Oh, she'll never live there.
Well, you might want to be doing some racing.
That's-
Okay, see ya.